Welcome back, everybody, to another segment of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. We're going to be right back with this week's guest, but as always, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors. If you're new to the podcast, these are all companies that I used as an athletic director. They're all great companies. You should be using them too. So take 3 minutes, listen to our shout outs, then listen to our Wednesday Wisdom guest, and then go and visit these sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to their website and you can schedule a live web demo to see their products in action. You've heard me say before, probably one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Schedule that live web demo today. We also want to say thanks to Hometown. Hometown is changing the game for schools and organizations with their suite of solutions that includes things like, well, big surprise, digital ticketing, but how about fee-free fundraising, athletic website construction, and a whole lot more. Whether you're an AD, a coach, or a principal, Hometown can help you save time, raise more money, and bring your community together. Go to hometown.com for more information. We also want to thank our friends at Gipper. Go to Gipper.com and let their team turn you into a social media marketing expert. Whether it's a simple social media post to celebrate a victory or an entire newsletter to showcase all the great things your program's doing, the team at Gipper will have you up and running in no time. It's professional graphic design made easy. That's Gipper.com. And don't forget to mention the podcast. We also want to thank Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. My assistant athletic director, along with thousands of others, got his master's through the Ohio University program, and it was a great experience. And while he was earning his master's, he also completed 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. Check out Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. We want to say thank you to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure our school was a Huddle school. Our coaches, all of our coaches, our student athletes, even our parents love the features that the Huddle platform provides. Go to huddle.com, join the 8 million users, and turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to thank our friends at Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really coal way to display your school record board for all the teams and events, for all the sports, or your school's Hall of Fame, go to Vital Signs Wall of Fame and take a look at their interactive touchscreen video consoles. You put one of their units in your gym lobby or your main school hallway, it's going to be a magnet for kids, for coaches, how about sponsors. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Check out their great products today. We also want to thank Home Campus. Home Campus is a platform you're going to use every single day. It's the official high school sports administration software platform for a number of states and thousands of ADs. And whether it's scheduling or rosters, results, their athletic clearance platform alone is something you got to see to believe. Go to homecampus.com. Make sure you tell them you heard about it on the podcast. That's homecampus.com. We also want to thank our friends at Snap Mobile. Whether it's fundraising or a dozen other things an athletic director is faced with every day, the Snap app is something like Home Campus you're going to use every day. We use their fundraiser especially, and it was tremendous success. Go to snapraise.com, check out all of their platforms. But talking about fundraisers, if you're looking for one, you just found it, and it's Snap Raise. And we want to say thanks to Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. Athletic directors already get feedback, but a lot of times it's from a very small group that just wants to complain. Athletic Surveys is going to connect you to that group so you can hear their concerns, but they're also going to connect you to the 98% of your stakeholders that support your program. And having that type of positive feedback, that data, it's incredibly valuable, especially when you're visiting with your principal, or how about even with your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. That's athleticsurveys.com. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. We have a friend of the host and hopefully a friend of the show here. As we get into it, you'll certainly figure things out. Our guest today is Katarina Nordqvist. I'll get it right out of the way at the beginning. Go to LinkedIn, Google her name, Katarina Nordqvist. We'll give out all the sites later on. But 15 plus years ago, I worked with Kat. I was the athletic director at the Palmer Trinity School down in South Florida. And Katarina was one of our incredible student athletes. She's going to share, those parts, but I've had the privilege, the pleasure of watching her kind of grow her career as an entrepreneur, as someone who works with individuals and teams and even organizations. I don't want to steal all her thunder, but Katarina Nordqvist, welcome to Wednesday Wisdom.
Thank you, Jake. I'm so happy to be here. I'm excited for this.
Well, again, as I shared, I have been able to follow your career. I still have great, great memories of you as a student athlete, and I'm going to let you share that. We always like to let our listeners have a chance to get to know our guests. So give us that, I say quick, but give us that bio, where you were born, where you grew up. Let's go and take us up through those Palmer Trinity years, and then we'll take a short break. But what's the Katarina Nordqvist origin story?
I was born in New Orleans, Louisiana. People are kind of shocked by that because I grew up my entire life in Miami, Florida. But my parents were right out of college, had me, and we moved where I call home in Miami. And life really started there. I had a really big family. I have a really big family. My mom is one of 10 kids. And so there are 20 grandchildren on that side. I am the 15th. The majority are boys, and the majority were athletes. So I grew up around all of these kids playing football, basketball. I was the ultimate tomboy, and I just wanted to be like them. I wanted to wear my Nike Shox and my basketball shorts and my and one t-shirts, and I wanted so badly to be one of the boys. And I'll never forget when I was 9, I signed up for a basketball program, kind of like the YMCA. I think it might have been the YMCA. And I was definitely nervous. I showed up to my first practice thinking it's a co-ed team, and it was all boys. And fortunately, I had some experience being with a ton of boys growing up. But at this stage, I show up to practice, and my parents were like, "We can leave." And I said, "No, I'm staying." And so at 9 years old, I joined this all boys basketball team. I didn't know how to play basketball. And it was the beginning of such a beautiful journey because I think, like we can all probably relate to, being on a court or being on a field and as you move through life, it quite literally was my sanctuary. It was the place where if things were going wrong at home or at school, I had the court. I made all of my friends on the court. I learned perseverance. I mean, the first moment of being bold in my life was saying yes to being on that all boys team. And so I started playing, and it was a beautiful experience. I was very scrappy. I was very fast, as you may remember, Jake. I think that was my superpower, my speed. And so I was great at defense, and I continued to play. So I played. So at about 9, I joined Palmer when I was 10. And that was the beginning. From 6th to 12th grade, I played middle school the first year, and then I was asked to be on varsity I think when I was in 7th grade. And then in 8th grade, I was on varsity. So that was a whole journey in itself because I was now a kid who loved playing the sport. And now I was like, oh, wait, I'm naturally good at this thing. Now I'm plopped on this team with all of these older kids, which is a privilege. But then it became pressure. And then it became pressure. But overall, I mean, basketball taught me so much. I played soccer for a hot second. I played lacrosse when we
Mhm.
had a lacrosse team. from 8th to 12th grade. And I will say, I mean, sports, as we all know, it just teaches you so much. It teaches you so much about yourself and your grit and your tenacity and being a part of a team and how do you collaborate and how do you move towards, you know, this end goal that we all have together. It's beautiful. But that's the beginning of my short, you know.
No, and again, I appreciate you sharing that. I think I was there at Palmer. I think maybe I came in as the AD your sophomore year. Definitely your junior year. I know I was there for a couple of years with you before you graduated. You mentioned, the privilege of being on the varsity team, and then you said, it became pressure. Now, my memory of those days, as blurry as it is, was, you were a big part of a very successful, girls basketball program. We'll talk about lacrosse too, which is, phenomenally successful. But was the pressure? I'm going to ask the question. You answer it.
Yeah,
Was the pressure?
yeah.
Was it a negative thing? Did the pressure push you to excel? Because again, you were. Let's face it. You were the star of the team.
It was it was amazing. Like I loved playing. I loved playing. I loved my team. I loved, as you mentioned, we continued to progress. We just got better every year. We won a championship for the first time. It was absolutely incredible. But I think that I had, I think in any area of life, when you start to have more eyes on you, you start to feel something within, like, oh, okay, people are watching. And for me, and this is the work that I do in the world now, so more of personal development, which I'll weave in. For me, I had this core belief, and it started when I was a very, very, very young kid, not in sports, but it flared up when I was playing basketball. I had this core belief that I needed to be perfect to be loved. And so now I'm on this mini stage, but it felt like a big stage at such a young age. And I just felt like, wow, I need to be great or I'm letting people down. And it was just an unspoken pressure that came up within me. And so what happened for me, at least, I said, you know what? Everybody's saying I'm naturally good. I'm naturally talented at this sport. And again, I think the speed and I was able to read the court really well. I was a point guard. And so I leaned on that heavily. I would go to practice, but I wouldn't put in any extra time because in the game, if I missed a shot or I missed a layup, I had something to fall back on. Well, I don't really practice. And so it's just been interesting over time as I've gotten into my 30s, just looking back and kind of dissecting my life and working through some things just to see like, wow, this little kid that did it for so much joy and it brought me so much joy. All of the sports did and all of the teams did, and I loved it. There was also that other side of it.
Yeah, and again, those are things that I think coaches in the moment, athletic directors in the moment, we need to do a better job of seeing those types of things. It's all about the team, the team, the team, but we got to be able to see those individuals better. Um, Looking back at those basketball days, I'm a big moment guy. Okay, so can you remember a moment from your basketball? Because I want to talk about lacrosse too. That maybe at the time it didn't seem like much, but now, as you said, looking back with perspective and wisdom, you can point to that moment and say, "Hey, that was a big deal for me." Anything come to mind?
I think it just was a big deal because I remember it so vividly. We won what was it, district?
Right.
Is that what it's called? Like the
Hmm.
district
Right.
championship for the first
Hmm.
time ever in the history of the school.
Yeah.
And I just remember that moment because we had been working so it was just the thing that was dangling out there. And for a few years, we didn't win. So I was on the team when we weren't winning. And then that moment where we won, and it was like, wow, we just made history. Like we just helped make history for this school. And of course, they've gone on to become increasingly better. And I look at some of these athletes now and I'm like, wow, you are incredible. Like I would not have been able to make the team at,
I
if I
don't
were
know about that.
if
Yeah.
I were there. But yeah, and then I think just the little moments. I think the little moments, it's not, I know you're asking for one, but
Oh no, you can give me a second one.
yeah, just like the moments where we were really able to have fun. Like I remember just warming up for a game and the music is blaring and we're dancing and we're doing some layups and but we're getting into the moment of, all right, we're about to go out there and we want to win. But it was just those little moments of having fun and the joy you felt being on a team.
And those I think are some of the more vivid moments, even beyond those wins and championships. But I do remember, that championship moment. Obviously, as an AD, very excited for the team, excited for the program. Let's go and jump over to your spring sport, lacrosse. Now, that was as an athletic director, that was my first experience, with a school that had a lacrosse program. And I know there were boys and girls, but your girls program was phenomenally successful. And again, I think you were a big part of that success. What are some of your memories of that time?
It was so fun. The team started, so Palmer had lacrosse starting in eighth grade for me. And I joined right away. And you remember Meredith and Bobby.
Oh yeah.
They were phenomenal. They both played at Dartmouth. At least Meredith did. I think Bobby may have. And it was just so much fun. And it was fun learning a different sport. Again, basketball was my thing. I knew it really well. I knew how to play the court. But now transitioning to a field, I played soccer for one season, but so it was kind of similar. But it was just fun. I'm like, you're wearing these face masks. It's all new. I had never watched it on TV. I had never been, obviously, growing up in Florida, you're not going to a lacrosse game. You're going to a football game or a baseball game or something. So it was just brand new. And the girls were really fun. It was just a combined team. There were seniors on the team, there were eighth graders on the team. It was just a team. It wasn't JV, varsity, middle school. It was just one team. And yeah, it was similar. It was similar with all of the ribbons, like before every game, somebody bought ribbons and they're on our shoes and our bag and our hair. And I just remember it being a lot of fun and a lot of fun learning a new sport.
Now, again, I'm reaching back into my memories here. I think maybe my first year or second year as the AD in lacrosse, you guys were a Final Four team, I believe, in the state tournament.
Sure.
Maybe that was the second year. But again, talking about you, you've already alluded to your speed. That's one of the things I remember about you in lacrosse is just flying down the field past girls. The stick skills were part of it, but boy, that speed and the passing, I think those are some of the memories that stick out for me. How about you? What's some more lacrosse memories that you have?
Personally, it would be the speed for me because I would just cruise by folks. And sometimes I'm like, damn, Kat, like you're fast.
Hmm.
And I don't know where the speed actually came from. But there were some incredible athletes on the team and they had the stick skills. They had the stick skills and I don't know, we would score like there's some of us that would score like 4 or 5 goals a
Yeah.
game. I'm like, what? Like, how are we doing this? How are we doing this? And I have to give it to our coaches because again, it was brand new. It was a brand new thing in Florida. Our coaches and I definitely remember making it to the finals, and that was the final four. I think you're correct
Mhm.
in that, and that was a big deal.
Mhm.
That
Oh
was
yeah,
a
no, absolutely. Yeah. Let's go and transition again. You had a great career at Palmer, academically and athletically. And now you've had quite a journey to this point. Can you share with our listeners a little bit about your journey? In the world of athletic administration, people typically don't go to college, graduate, and then they immediately become an athletic director. Usually there's some teaching and coaching and maybe an assistant AD job along the way. Um, what has your journey been like so far that's brought you to where you are at this
yeah.
point that we're going to share in our next segment?
I've had a lot of twists and turns, as you've alluded to. I thought I wanted to be a therapist, a psychotherapist. When I was looking at schools, I ended up going to Loyola in Chicago. And I remember one of our college admissions folks at Palmer was like, "You're not going to like it there." And I think that little athlete in me was like, "I'm going to try it. I'm going to go and I'm going to try it and we'll see how it goes." And I did. And didn't work out, but I had no idea what I wanted to do next. The 16-year-old me who was going into school, I thought that I would be able to speak one-on-one with folks and kind of help them with their lives because that's truly what I love doing. And that's what I love doing on the field, on the court. I loved talking to my teammates, helping them work through things, hearing their stories, what's going on at home. Like that fueled me. And any chance that I could help someone feel a little bit more whole, more seen, that's been the through line throughout my life. That fuels me. But therapy wasn't it. It was completely all science. And I was like, wait, this isn't just talking to people all day long and helping them with their problems. So that wasn't for me. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had no idea. But fast forward, I ended up at Fashion Institute of Technology in New York City. Now, I didn't get into school right away. I left Chicago after my first semester and I moved to New York City on a whim on January 1st of 2011. And I didn't know what I was doing. I lived at a place called the 92nd Y, which is dorm style living, but primarily for adults or kids that aren't in school. And I was just figuring it out. I was just figuring it out. I went to one class at FIT. Fortunately, I got in and I spent the next 4 years getting a degree there. Now, worked New York Fashion Weeks. I know this probably has nothing to do with the athletic world, but I started working New York Fashion Weeks, and I figured out what I loved doing, and that's taking an idea from inception to completion. And I think a lot of us can relate to that. Just like an idea that comes up and being a part of every part of the process I knew that I loved, which has transitioned to me building businesses and starting different things in my life. But ended up in fashion, graduated from school, and again had a pivot point where I was like, this is not what I want to do. I've learned a lot, but I need to keep trying and experiencing. I worked at Montclair State University just
Right.
as an in-between. And I was in alumni relations and annual giving. But it was a part-time job. I learned a lot again, but I knew that wasn't it. And finally, I found a role in my town. I live in Montclair, New Jersey. I finally found a role in my town that was in professional development, and their tagline was helping unleash human potential. And I was like, wow, I want to be there. I want to be there. And I got the job for an event producer. And so this started my career in working with Google and Amazon and Facebook and all of these large organizations. And what we would do is we would go into these organizations and help their people become better leaders, better communicators, better presenters. And that's what I've been doing for the last decade. During that time, again, that through line of my life of wanting to help people in their lives, on their journey, because that's what I've been doing my entire life, coming back home to myself, go working through my own life experiences and trying to make sense of them and going to therapy and all of the things. But for me, I've always wanted to be in the personal development space. So I was building a business for 2 years, and it was going to be a platform for it was going to be like an Eventbrite for personal development, experiences, authors, etc. And I was building it. I loved it. I was gaining momentum. And as life has it, it told me this isn't it. This is not it. And I feel that that's one of the things that I love to talk to people about is how do we start listening to what we know within? Because that was one of the hardest decisions I've made in my life to walk away from this business that I love that I was building. But I just knew intuitively, like, okay, this isn't it. But there's pieces and elements of this that are. And so now I work with folks one-on-one, again, kind of helping them navigate the in-between, the highs and lows of life. and I host workshops to talk about all of this stuff. So it's been fantastic. I've learned a lot. I'm still building, I'm still creating, and yeah.
Well, you've already shared, how your athletic experience, it has impacted and continues to impact you now. I mentioned earlier that, coaches and ADs sometimes, I guess intentionally, that we just have the blinders on and it's about the team, it's about the program. Sometimes it's just accidental and sometimes it's just natural. We talk about the toolbox. Sometimes people, they just don't have the type of tools that you're talking about to sit down and work with an individual student, an individual athlete, or from an AD standpoint, an individual coach. So, talking to our listeners now, what are some of the things that you can offer them so that they can reach out to, Katarina Nordqvist and say, hey, can you help me in this area?
Of course. One, we have to give ourselves grace. I mean, this is not something that we've been really taught to do. There are obviously we are humans speaking with other humans, and we have these intuitions that say, like, hey, maybe this kid is looking a little down, or hey, but you're working with teams. So give yourself grace. That's your job. You're working with the team. But I think there are little moments. Like if I look back at my time on teams, there were always little moments where coaches or ADs would come at Jake. I think you've done this too. Like, hey, Kat, how are you? And that's not the, that doesn't really open the door for all communication because we're used to saying, I'm good. How are you? I'm well. How are you? Kind of these blanket statements. But that's a start. Just showing these individuals, like, I see you and I see you as an individual, even though we're all part of this collective. It's these small moments that kind of build trust, right? So if it's, hey, great game. I've seen a lot, and I'm sure we have a variety of coaches and ADs here, but I'll take it to like a parent level. There are some parents who do a great job at helping their kids, like, hey, you played a great game, not go to the negative first. Like, you could have done this better, you could have done this better, you could have done this better. And I feel like when we go to an athlete and we say, hey, you did a really great job out there, or hey, I know that was a hard one. Just helping them feel seen in a way by using, a sentence or two, helping them feel seen in these moments because that's building trust over time. And having this trust being built, then as a student athlete, I feel more comfortable coming to you, Jake, saying, you know what? He's always checking in with me. He genuinely has my best interest. I feel in this moment I can go and say something. I can go and vocalize something to him. So I feel like it's a lot of little moments. It's not some big, like, hey, let's sit down with every kid and check in, even though that could be great. But it's these little moments that add up to big impact.
Sure. Yeah, I would absolutely agree. We talk about in the toolbox books, one of the most frequently mentioned tools for ADs is building those relationships. And I remember when I came to Palmer as the AD previously at my previous school, I was the head football coach and the athletic director, and it was it was a challenge for me to get out and find a way to try and connect with the different teams because I didn't have that coach athlete relationship, which is it's just a special relationship. But I was there. I was the AD there for 6 years, and I think I got better each year. But yeah, it can be a challenge for ADs to do that.
It can. I'm sure it can be. And you
Mhm.
did. And it takes time. Relationships take time. And I feel like that's probably what this book is saying. Everything is relationship. Everything in life is building relationships with others. But those take time. They don't happen overnight.
Right. We're going to give out all the contact information here in a minute, but athletic directors are, let's say, kind of a leery bunch, a show me bunch. I know you have a ton of success stories that you could share of working with a client, working with an individual, without giving names or anything like that. Can you share a scenario where you were able to sit down and work with someone that was a true success story.
Absolutely. And I've worked with so many individuals at many, many, many different levels. But one that I feel could be helpful is working with someone in the C-suite of a Fortune 100 company. I cannot name names. And we had a one-on-one session where we were helping this person prepare for going out on a big stage to talk to thousands of employees. And this person was brand new at the organization. So lots of pressure. They have this event twice a year. And he was definitely already polished and all of the things, but we wanted to get to the heart. So he had to go and speak to many, 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 many people. And we were thinking of a personal story. And in this session, when we were talking through, again, it weaves in personal, but also professional. How do you get out there? How do you communicate this vision? How do you communicate who you are? How do you get people to buy into what your vision is and lead? And by the end of the session, he was crying. And he said that this was the most powerful session. He went out there on the stage and he absolutely crushed it. But it was really the moment of we all want to be seen, we all want to be heard, we all want to tell our story in an impactful way. And it was just a beautiful moment where, I was even impressed. I was like, wow, you're shedding some tears here. And I can't give all of the details, but yeah, it was a really, really special moment.
Oh no, that was a great one, boy.
Yeah.
And I just can imagine that whole process that he goes out there and, as you said, he crushed it. Very cool story. Well, let's go ahead and cut to the chase, if you will. Again, our listeners are athletic directors, they're head coaches, they're administrators. Sometimes we even get some parents that listen too. If one of our listeners wanted to reach out and find out more and connect with you, and listeners, you have a tremendous resource here. What's the best way that they can get a hold of Katarina Nordqvist?
Absolutely. So I am on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and TikTok. And it's all of them. They're just my name, Katarina Nordqvist, which Jake, I think I'll put in the show notes. It's very hard to spell, but that's where you can find me.
Okay. Well, Kat, this has just been so cool, spending some time talking with you. Again, I've been watching your career grow these last couple of years on LinkedIn, but thanks so much for sharing with our listeners and all the best moving forward. And I guess if you get back to Central Florida, we're definitely going to have to connect.
Thank you. I hope it was a little helpful.
Oh
Thank you
no,
for
you
having
you
me, Jake.
no, you were great.
This was a pleasure.
For our listeners, we want to say thanks to you and remind you that we upload the Zoom recordings of every interview to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do Wednesday Wisdom every week, and just about every day we try to share stories from the world of athletics along with some best practices. So come back and join us again on the next episode of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. Boy, it's always great to see one of your former athletes. I'd certainly count Kat as a former athlete, as an AD, to come back and share what they're doing now and share something that's so important. Speaking of sharing, let's go and thank our great sponsors. I used every single one of these as an athletic director. I highly recommend that you check them out. Gipper, go to Gipper.com. Sideline Interactive Indoor Score Tables and Video Boards. Want to say thank you to Home Campus. Go to homecampus.com. Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Check out their interactive touchscreen video consoles. Snap Mobile, particularly Snap Raise, but their entire suite of solutions. Go to snapraise.com. Huddle. I used it as a football coach. I used it as an AD. We were a Huddle school. Go to huddle.com. Athletic surveys by LifeTrack. Start taking the pulse of everybody in your school program. And Hometown. Go to hometown.com for more information. Thanks again for listening to Wednesday Wisdom. We'll see you next time on the Educational AD Podcast.